All right, well, let's bring in political analyst Mark Halpern, along with the chairman of the Border Commerce and Security Council, Nelson Balido, and the vice president of the National Border Patrol Council, Art Del Cueto. Welcome to all of you here. Art, I'm going to start with you here. It must be music to your ears that this massive deportation plan is coming quickly. But what do you make of these Democratic lawmakers saying that they're going to fight it?
Look, it's angering and it's frustrating because what are they fighting? Let's break it down and see exactly what they're saying. They're saying that they're going to allow, and they've allowed, and they're perfectly fine with individuals that have broken the law to remain in their cities, even though they're going to activate their own law enforcement to protect criminals in their cities. That's just very, very frustrating, you know, when you start looking at that. I think that's very irresponsible. It's frustrating, and it's a slap in the face to the American public. They're going to protect criminals. That's what it breaks down to.
Yeah, Nelson, expand on that. That was the question I was going to ask you. Doesn't this invite Tren de Aragua to keep doing what they're doing? Come on in, bring in even more people, more illegals to head to Denver and to other cities where mayors take up the same cause.
Right, Bob. So look, that's happened in Colorado. Colorado's been a very friendly state to these illegal immigrants, and they're paying for it. What they don't realize is the American public, if you look at the top three issues for voting for the 2024 election, was exactly that, the illegal activity. They were sick and tired of what's happening. This guy wants more of it. But you know what I'm convinced of? Between him and Gavin Newsom, look, the left is gutted out. They're trying to pony up to see who could be left of left because they don't have anybody in the stall for the next race. I mean, they're trying to make a name for themselves, and maybe this is what he's thinking. This is his chance. I think it backfires on him. I think the people will go against it, and ultimately, people are tired of the crime everywhere, and including in Colorado.
Mark, what Nelson says reminds me of something that you've been saying more globally, that Democrats simply can't seem to wrap their head around the fact the majority of Americans voted for Donald Trump. Is what we're hearing from these Democratic lawmakers sort of the final vestiges of them getting all of that out of their system?
Sometimes politicians support bad politics, and sometimes they support bad policy. Democrats seem intent on this issue of doing both. They don't get the fact that there couldn't be a clearer mandate from Donald Trump's victory than controlling the border. And yet they continue to play games with words and play games with policies about what the American people actually want. The polls are overwhelming, and the need for Americans to see their government react to the election results is pretty strong. I do think the Trump administration will attempt to get some Democrats to work with them on border issues. And I think some will, because I think they're hearing from their constituents that they'd like a change here. But there will be holdouts, and I think they'll continue to define the image of the party for many.
Art, the way I'm reading this is any mayors like Johnson in Denver who come out and say, no, we're going to resist this to the nth degree, or we're going to get 50,000 people to show up at the county line. And they're saying that to appease this woke ideology, they're kind of okay with the residual impacts, which are women being raped and killed, like Laken Riley, like others that we've seen around the country, Rachel Moore in here. And that's kind of, it's kind of sad, no?
No, it is sad, and what they're doing is they're inviting more criminals into their communities because the word's out. Hey, apparently this mayor is okay with everyone that wants to come into their community to come into. Nothing's going to happen to you. You could have committed crimes, whatever it may be. I'm telling you, what needs to happen is the people that are living there, they try to move out. Let him have all his criminals in there, and let's call him up and find out how it's going in a couple of months and see if he's still okay with it.
Nelson, I want to get your thoughts on this. On Friday, incoming border czar Tom Homan was with Bob and I on American Agenda, and when asked about what could be done about Democrats resisting Trump's deportation plan, exactly what we're talking about, this is what he said.
Federal law trumps state and local law every time, so if you're not going to help, get the hell out of the way, because we're coming, we're doing it, and they're not going to stop us. And look, I've sent warnings out. You know, there are certain federal laws they need to get themselves familiar with, such as impediment of a federal law enforcement officer, such as harboring, concealing. If you knowingly harbor and conceal illegal alien, that's a felony. So they can not assist, and they can be a pain in our butts, but don't cross the line.
Nelson, we know that Homan clearly means business, and of course he is saying that there will be consequences for actions of these Democratic lawmakers. Do you think that's enough to make them say, you know what, let's do this for the good of the country?
Again, I think they're just posturing. I think at the end of the day, they're not going to deploy police at the border. How are they going to know who's coming over and who's not in their own borders inside the United States? Look, the thing is, this is posturing, and you're right. They may not support it. In fact, I know they don't support it. But look, they got to just get out of the way. Let the federal government do what they're supposed to do. Let what their own public has voted for the president and the issues that they talked about. I think the thing is ultimately is it'll backfire on them, and hopefully they'll just go away. But this is what we're seeing time and time again. We're seeing it in New York. We're seeing it in Colorado. We're seeing it in California. I just think it's political posturing that it's going to backfire them at the end of the day, and the people are, they just don't want to listen to the people.
Mark, I'm going to switch gears with you. I'm going to talk about Jack Smith and the decision to dismiss the 4 charges he brought against President Trump. What are they saying in D.C. about that today?
Well, sort of inevitable. And Jack Smith has gone from zealous prosecutor looking to inflict damage on Donald Trump at all costs to someone, since the election, being highly realistic about what the prospects are. And I think rather than being pushed out, he decided to jump off the boat and swim to safety on his own. This will go down in history as one of the great miscalculations, because the left thinks he and Merrick Garland started too late, and the right thinks it was an unjust prosecution. I don't think this guy is going to leave too many people happy about the job he did.
Got to leave it there. Art, Nelson, Mark, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.